Tonight, on a special edition of Enter the Tomb, I interview two of the most influential superstars in XPW Season 4, Adrian Coleman, ECB, ACO Elite. I sit down with these two athletes and we discuss what happened in Season 4. Because I am the Pharaoh and you are watching Enter the Tomb. Welcome, folks. This is the Pharaoh. Welcome to a special edition, a Slammy Award edition of Enter the Tomb. Here I have Adrian Coleman and ECB, the XPW World Undisputed Champion and one half of the XPW Undisputed Tag Champs. And, of course, ECB, one half of the XPW Undisputed Tag Titles and the Intercontinental Champion. Welcome to the show, fellas.
What's up?
Good to be
Pharaoh,
here.
what's up?
Good. See, ECB, you're back here for a second time, and for the first time ever. Adrian Coleman, you're here on the show. We have ACO Elite here.
Woo!
First time on Enter the Tomb.
It came to see
All right.
Yep, we got Goldie.
There we go. So,
Yeah.
First off, I would like to congratulate each of you, individually and as a collective. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the both of you, ACO Elite, for retaining the tag titles, beating everyone, beating every team out there, winning tournaments, taking names, kicking butts, you name it, holding it down at final stand. You held your own. I would like to congratulate ECB for winning the IC title again and retaining, of course, the tag titles, walking out of there. And Adrian, of course, you retaining the Undisputed Championship in an epic fashion. So I appreciate you for that one. Good stuff.
Thank you.
So I'll start with you, ECB. How would you describe your season 4?
I was describing season 4 as eventful. I said exactly what we were going to do at the beginning of the season. I said, we're going to run through this division, no matter what. We start off with Bulletproof, now Venom, back to Bulletproof. It doesn't matter. We took every tag team down, one by one. Even some tag team that thinks they can just come together now and take us on. Light work.
Of course. And what about your singles career? How you describe your singles career for season 4, ECB?
I believe my singles career has been, well, as I said this last time, but Elite. I have the best time in singles matches. I have the best matches when I'm in a singles competition match. This title represents that I am the best. And I've proven that I'm the best. Not to put anything against my partner here at Coleman, but I believe that this Intercontinental title proves that I am one of the best in the world.
And you had a crazy match, too, for Final Stand to get that Intercontinental title. It was a triple threat. You had Demon King, at ringside, just watching and praying. And, you don't know what he was going to do, but you knew that he could play a factor at any point in that match. And you had a lot of obstacles in that match that you overcame, and you stuck it through, and you walked out with the IC title. So that's good. That's great for you, sir. ACO, Adrian Coleman, Alpha Omega, you, sir. How would you describe your season 4?
How would I describe my season 4? Well, my partner over here likes to use puns. Won't mind the pun, but godly. I mean, I walked in at the end of last season, kind of, finished it up. My first pay-per-view being Final Stand, won the IC title, held that high like my partner over here. Then the season started. I walked in with that Aftershock, defended it for a few months, just taking on all the competition. First person to successfully defend their title at a pay-per-view. And then I went on to win things like the King of the Ring. We won the Iceman Tag Team Classic. We won the X Division Tag titles when I don't want to talk about that. We won the X Division Tag titles. We won the Undisputed Tag titles. And then, finally, I squared off with Max at Last Resort, and it was my last resort. And I showed everybody that there ain't no such thing as a Max for the Alpha Omega, the god of XPW, Adrian Coleman.
All right. Yeah, you did a lot, and we're going to get into everything you just said, the moments that you just showed out, okay? ECB, we're going to start with the beginning of the season, okay? You walked into season 4 as the man, as the guy on the top of the show, as XPW World Champion. You were on that mountain. You was in that role. You lost that Aftershock against Johnny Prince.
Yep.
Give me your reaction of what went down at Aftershock.
What down in Aftershock was not a fluke. That's something that someone like, I don't know, Prince would say, Ghost would say. I show nothing but respect for Johnny. I always have. He beat me fair and square. The better man won that night. But as you can tell by the end of the season, the things have changed. So I have defeated Johnny Prince, reclaiming what is rightfully mine, that win that he took from me. But still, nothing but respect for the guy. He beat me, one-on-one.
Okay. And your Aftershock was slightly different because you won the you won back the Intercontinental title, becoming a 2-time IC champion, Adrian. So give me your reaction from Aftershock.
From Aftershock. It really was an Aftershock if you think about it, because, week prior, I was scheduled to defend my IC title against a mystery opponent, and lo and behold, coming up from the X Division, out from the smoke, it was a future Hall of Famer legend from the past. It was GOAT. I was caught off guard, if we're being honest, quite frankly. And in that match, he got the best of me. He got the best of my shock. But then, after I knew what was going on, I cashed in my rematch clause. I started studying the tapes. I realized what I was doing. I realized who I was fighting against. And in that 2 out of 3 falls match, not one time but 2 times, I pinned him to definitively, undisputedly cement my reign as IC champion.
Yeah, and that, what you just said just basically cemented what happened throughout the entire season. It's when you're not good with, surprise, or you're not good with things coming out of the blue last minute. But the second time around, the second try, the rematch, the do-over, you will always win that battle, no matter what. As soon as you realize the person you're fighting, you can analyze their strengths, their weaknesses. You are basically unstoppable in that contest. Would you say that is fair and a fair assessment?
I would. I mean, I said it after Hold the Line, after One for All. I said it is time for a second coming, and every time that I did end up somehow falling, that second coming kicked in. I came back, and boom, it happened. Yep. Whatever I said happened.
And you mentioned your battles with GOAT. He beat you first time. You beat him second time. I think you had another battle after that, sometimes down the line of the season. What do you think about GOAT overall as a competitor?
Look, GOAT, at the beginning of the season, he was coming in hot. Like I said, he took my IC title, and then after that, he went on to be world champion. But then the cracks started to show in the facade of the legend, and he just slowly lost all of his gas. And, like with the the GOAT's challenges of hell. He wasn't able to complete them. He wasn't able to get into that main event of Final Stand and ride out on that horse of glory, going out on top.
Ooh, glory.
Yeah, oh glory. And basically, I mean, you can tell because after that first match, I beat him not once for the IC title. I beat him to defend the Anarchy briefcase. I beat him to in the King of the Ring tournament, second round.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been the same since.
Execution Sunday is with the Elimination Chamber. ECB, I believe you were in that match?
I believe I was.
Yep, you were in that match. You didn't successfully win it, but it was an insane match. You had Goat, you had Tara Coney, you had Dalton, I believe Johnny Fritz. It was just a very insane match because Osiris, me as Pharaoh, I tried to book it to where there's no alliances, no partners in the Elimination Chamber, but Vega Force somehow managed to both get into the match. So the tag teaming was in your minds. It was in Dalton's mind. I know last season, the Golden Army played the numbers game, and that's how they walked out with the title. So you didn't want that to repeat over again. If you can remember, what was your mindset going into that Elimination Chamber, and what did you try to go in? What game plan did you try to go in with?
My game plan is the same as the one where I won.
Mm-hmm.
Divide and conquer. Take one out, move on to the next. Keep moving on. Take one out, take another out. It didn't matter. I didn't really have a plan more than just fight for my life. That's what I did.
Did you see Vega Force teaming up?
I expected it.
Mm-hmm.
It was obviously going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And,
But
you did well. You did well. Dalton, he kept talking so much, hoopla about how he's going to win, but he was the first one eliminated. And
that's what happens. Too much.
Days later, after that great pay-per-view became the change. And that change I like to call lockdown, Anarchy lockdown. Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian, how did you react when you first heard about Anarchy lockdown? What was your first reaction to it?
Honestly, it piqued my interest. I was intrigued with how this was going to go. I mean, it was basically a gauntlet for all champions to determine if they really were who they said they were as champions. And the only thing with that is the rest of the roster clearly didn't want to step up to that same plate. Because as you know, all the titles got vacated. No one was really able to get those 15 defenses. And I blame everybody else for that.
Mm-hmm. And not just the champions. Because I think the champions were ready to go. They were up for the challenge. It was just the lack of challengers, the lack of drive that you needed to come out of it alive. Were you surprised all the titles being vacated when Anarchy was over, when the lockdown was over?
First, I was, but then as the time went by and the last few days were closing in is when I kind of realized that they didn't have that spark to walk out like some people like ECB and I did. And that is when I lost faith in the roster.
At the end of lockdown, the last somewhat hours, Devon introduced the briefcase, the Anarchy briefcase. And the holder of that briefcase was going to be the one to go over to the next pay-per-view to try to win everything back. Adrian, you won that briefcase. You won a lot of things this season, but one of the main things you won was that briefcase, and you had to defend it almost every show to keep that briefcase, to make sure you were the one. And that's a great accomplishment. Now, a lot of the fans were very disappointed because ECB wasn't really one of the challengers to fight for your briefcase like that. And they wanted to see who is truly the best to hold that briefcase. So my question to ECB is that what was your mindset about not really going after that briefcase after Adrian won it?
To be honest, at that moment, I believe that Adrian had his thing. That was his moment. I'm not gonna deal with him in his moment. If he wants to go and do something with the briefcase, I'm not gonna interfere. I didn't want any part of it. That was his thing. I'm letting him do his own thing. Me, I have my own business to work through. Getting back to the goal that I have today.
Okay. Were you surprised the titles were gone for that long a period of a time?
Not at all. After seeing how the roster was doing in the matches, I realized very quickly that no one was gonna be able to fight the way me and Adrian were wanting to fight.
Maybe does Adrian's accomplishments put a ceiling over yours? Do you feel that's the case? Because if there's one title, if there's one briefcase, he wins, you kind of have to take that step back. Like you said, you don't want to. He's in his own lane, and I'm going to stay in my lane. But when the lane is the top, and you can't really go there because your partner's there, do you feel like there's a ceiling on your accomplishments?
Not at all. What I've accomplished here at XPW is sealed. I'm the only Ultimate Champion. I'm not really sure anything. I don't need to do anything else. The world title, I've done it. I've seen everything. I'm a Grand Slam champion now. Exactly what I said I was going to do. Adrian can have his moment. If I want to go for the world title, I'll do it on my own terms.
Adrian, could you go piggybacking on what ECB is saying? Could you have accomplished all that you have accomplished if ECB was still world champion?
If ECB was still world champion, we had a goal in mind. Way back in January, start of the season, we said by the end of the season, we are going to be draped in championship gold, which is what we did. Originally, the plan was he was going to walk out with the world title. I was going to walk out with the intercontinental title, tag titles, and then we would see what happens from there. But plans change, as you know, and it kind of flip-flopped. We both got the tag titles. I got the world title. He got the IC title. Like ECB said, no one can take away what he's accomplished here in XPW. So him letting me step up to that light, he was like, okay, Adrian, this is his moment. This is my moment. And then ECB, he is the new Intercontinental King, as I called myself at the beginning of the season. He has that old crown. 2-time Intercontinental Champion, 3-time U.S. Champion, just amongst other accomplishments, only ever Ultimate Champion. So if ECB was still World Champion, it wouldn't have been an issue with everything else. It would have just played out differently.
Okay. Would you've had that same mindset that ECB has? Like, if you're whoever's at top, they're going to be at top for as long as they need to be, and I'm going to accomplish what I can accomplish here. And when that top is no longer, when that top is vacant, it's going to be my turn. Do y'all take turns with that, or it's just whoever? If the moment is there, whoever can get to it first will get to it first.
Yeah, our goal as tag team partners is to make sure that each of us are doing our own thing as well as remaining collectively synchronized, like with our tag team championships. So when he says if I have the world title, that's where it's going to stay, that's where I'm going to try to make it stay. And if something happens, and let's say I get injured, right? Not going to happen. Let's say I get injured, and then the title gets vacated. ECB would have to be the man to step up and take it. That is what we would do. It's like, okay, this is our gold. We want to own it. We pursue this, this championship glory that we have. So actually the only title left is Dalton's United States title, but that's a story for season 5.
Okay. ECB. Judging about what went on this year, is this, and you're saying that, hey, you've accomplished everything that you needed to accomplish. It sounds like you're not retiring, but you're happy in where you're at. And I guess my question is this the last time we'll ever see ECB as world champion?
Never say never. I will be champion again, but I'm not sure exactly when. It's whenever the time is right.
Okay.
As Adrian said.
So let's get back on track.
Mhm.
After lockdown, you won the briefcase, and you took that all the way to One for All. What was your reaction with One for All, and what you thought about that setup, and what you had to do to get all the titles back?
Like you said earlier about the surprises, I had a game plan going into it. I think the original lineup was Devon, you, and Beatdown. So I was getting my mindset in, and then, a little bit changed because Devon kind of took a step back, and out of nowhere, we see Mr. Max come out from the X Division, champion, and he is in the gauntlet now. So I didn't know what the order was going to be, but my strategy got a little bit, let's say, messed up, right? But after the show, after One for All, after everything that happened, some people decided to attempt to blame me. And to that I say, where were you when you were losing to me as I was defending the briefcase? Because if you're not going to beat me, you're not going to do any better than me.
Mm-hmm. One for All is when you first got your, first taste of Max. You didn't really fight him, but he was there. This is the closest y'all have been to each other, and it felt like y'all were destined to go at it at some point, and that was just a sneak peek of like what's going to happen. But you didn't. When you lost that One for All, and the title didn't come back. How did you feel?
Like we said, our goal was to walk out draped in gold. So without gold, it kind of delayed our plans. Obviously, they're not going to stay vacant. Something's going to happen that is going to bring them back. So me and ECB, we talked about it. We talked about it after the show. We talked about the situation of the future, what could possibly happen. And we basically just tried preparing ourselves to be ready for whatever comes next. It was a little, underwhelming not having championships in XPW. You can tell the morale of the roster was low after lockdown, but it didn't stop us. It didn't stop our drive. It didn't stop our confidence. It didn't stop any of that. Because we knew that when all was said and done, we would be at the top.
After One for All, the titles are still vacant. This is where the blame starts to come in and stuff like that, and people are somewhat throwing blame on you, Adrian, for not, winning it for everyone else, which is not your responsibility, because if they wanted to bring the titles back, all they have to do was beat you.
Mm-hmm.
But the next pay-per-view was Hold the Line. This is where the brands has been split. It's the Authority, main roster, and the X Division are going at it to, fighting for supremacy of XPW. Okay, how did that lead up? What did ECB? What do you think about that whole structure? Because last year it was just team this and team that, Team Wolfpack, Bow, and all that good stuff. But this year's a different kind of faction war. What did you think about that setup and how the story led up to Hold the Line?
I believe that this new faction war is the best faction war that it could possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Adrian are at the top, beating everything. I don't really think there's really even that many factions anymore. Like, look at the tag team division now. Who are there? Who's there now? There's a faction. And we don't count Venom Clubs. We all know Greg and John Young have flew away back to wherever they wanted to go, back to England.
HY what?
What? This is gonna happen. We will defeat any tag team, any stable, any corporation, any person that wants to step up. That's just what we do.
Okay. Now let's talk about the costumes, the outfits, or the theme y'all decided to go with. The Avengers, Adrian, Iron Man, what was the motivation behind the Iron Man gimmick?
Being honest, I'm great. I know I'm great, and I see myself as the leader in this situation. And apparently, with all these guys blaming me, putting blame on me after One for All, they didn't seem to have a problem throwing me up there on a pedestal because they had no plans. They had nothing. They had no idea what they were gonna do. So, all came natural, and I stepped up. I stepped up to take the main roster and lead us into One for All alongside ECB over here. Hello, God of Hammers, and Captain King, Dalton America, whatever he wants to be called. Ironically enough, U.S. champion now.
Okay. And ECB, what was your motivation behind the Thor theme?
Because no one's worthy.
Yeah.
No one.
I mean,
No
yeah,
one's more worthy.
it was very nicely, set up the outfits, the costume. Yeah, y'all are great with the attires. Each pay-per-view, so it was very refreshing to wear a different skin, and I really, really appreciated that. But let's talk about Hold the Line. You was in the main event, Adrian. Once again, you had the opportunity to bring the titles back. For what reason? Max was the kind of the deciding factor on what happened, and he beat me, and made me tap out and stuff like that. And there goes another opportunity that was kind of lost, and you didn't really grasp that. How did you feel following that match at Hold the Line?
Hold the Line. It was the first time I ever made this mistake and the last time I will ever make this mistake, because when I was leading the main roster, I got a little emotional. Everyone was getting dressed up in their costumes. They were all doing their matches, and I was, like I said, I was the head. I was the coach. I was too focused, relying on everyone else, where I don't actually care what happens in their matches. Because, like the lower card, if you get sent to the X division, you lose. If you win, you get a title shot. I don't care. I relied on them too much. And then when the main event came, I wasn't all there. I wasn't all into it. First time colliding with Max, there was an aura there in itself. You were there, as you know. I was getting up. I was down. But right when I was about to come back in, I was about to come back out the gate, fire. I was gonna win. It was one fall, first fall to a finish, and Max took advantage of you being in a vulnerable position, and he submitted you.
Yeah, it was quick. Didn't see it coming at all. And the match was going really well, and it was almost over, but something happened, and he got the win, and he sent everyone to the X division, and the titles were gone. The only title that mattered was the X division title, in which Max was the holder of it, and he was, and I think at that moment is where the collision course was bound to happen at that point between you and Max, because you don't have a main roster to go to. He's the reason why you're not world champion. He's the reason why everyone's down there at his level, and now you have no choice but to fight him. You have to beat him to bring things back to normal. But it didn't happen immediately, because after that match, you kind of went all the way down to the bottom, like to square one, basically. And you had to work your way up. And, that was... Describe how that journey was, just to lose everything and just being the number one hated guy in the locker room, and you having to start from square one in the X division and work your way up to the title match.
After Hold the Line, I had a lot of time to think. Honestly, I was lost a little bit. And that's when I thought to myself, I remembered, quite frankly, I didn't care that people hated me. And I told everybody that I came out to the ring with a microphone. I said to everybody, I said, we're at the right now, it was rock bottom at that point, lowest point in my career. And I said that it is going to be a second coming. I use that phrase a lot because it's pretty much sums up what was to come. I said it was going to be a second coming. And basically, at that point, the X Division, I was out of the the main event title picture. Someone else was going for it. There was nothing I could do to get into that match at Rise to Glory. But, thankfully, along with all that time to think, I had time to talk. And I was talking to ECB, and we were told, along with all the other teams, that the X Division was introducing their own set of tag team titles, which we were granted an opportunity for because we won the Iceman Tag Classic. So that was the first time we really got to put our minds, clear our minds. We got to focus on the tag team titles in the X Division and then work our way up back to the top.
And that's great that you bring that up because that's a perfect segue on what I wanted to talk about next. Your tag team title run, your tag team run as a whole. This is where ACO Elite became that tag team. Is when y'all went to the X Division and you battled it out. You went to war with everyone, and it showed during the Iceman Tag Team Classic. How I mean, y'all are really great as a unit. Your chemistry is on point. Your timing is on point. Your strikes, y'all hit in unison. How do y'all get so well tagging with each other?
ECB, you wanna answer that one? Because I know you've been itching to talk for a minute.
I've been itching to talk for a bit. I've been kind of distracted. Let's see. Well, me and Adrian have trained for this. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do. We fight constantly. We know each other. We know exactly how each other fights. I know how he needs. He knows how I chop. And we synchronize. We know what move goes with what. We know how this move will lead into the next. We constantly combo. We know when the other's hurt. We know when the other is fine. We know when to jump in or not. Never make mistakes. That's what we do. We don't need rehearsals. We got this. This is the first time we win. That's just how it goes.
Man, how much time do you dedicate to working on your craft as a tag team? It seems like y'all just don't wrestle when it's time for y'all to wrestle. It seems like y'all practice, here or there with your tag team work because it shows a lot. So I just want to know, and the fans want to know, how much time you dedicate to, tagging with one another and practicing your craft. I'll pass that to ECB. Yeah.
Okay. I think we actually train for about an hour. Like, we have our own people that help us. We know we have the performance center for XPW. We have our own people that train us in a place called the House of Games. That is how we train. We constantly practice this move. We come up with new stuff. We watch other wrestling to figure out new stuff that could help us.
A lot of innovating.
Recently started watching Young Bucks moves. And we actually recently started doing the Meltzer driver. We do the DIY kick knee strike. We even developed our own thing with a kick we call the Kyo kick. I believe you've probably seen it multiple times during our matches. It's one of our signature moves. It's one of the most devastating moves we have in our arsenal. It be timed perfectly every single time. Doesn't matter who it is, big, small, giant, it doesn't matter. Brock, Prince, Ghost, it doesn't matter. Everyone falls to not only that move, but our best move. The move we debuted at the beginning of the season has been knocking down team after team after team. The Whiplash, a neck breaker, last shot combination. We made this move specifically to take people out.
And you can hit it. You can hit it big people, small people, whatever. It's just so fast. And it's like the most in unison maneuver I've seen in a while, man. That's your move. And no one can do it. No one can try it. That move belongs to both of y'all. Let's move on because you win the tag team classic.
Mhm.
You go on, you're in title contentions for the X Division tag titles. You win the tag titles. You know, you're on top of the world. Out of all the teams you faced this season, who gave you the run for your money? Who's that one team that made you think, man, we almost lost that?
You got this?
Yeah, sure. So, typically, we don't like to think that way. And basically, we that that mindset is not one to have if you don't want to lose a match. And basically, if any team though, like got us at any point shook during a match, right? It probably was our Absolute Violence 2-on-2 tornado tag against the Wolfpack. That move, we had to bust out all the stops. We even did a double Rise of the Terminator Tope Suicida. We had to do a lot of in unison things. We had to prove our tag team supremacy because that match went on for a long time. And at one point, we were in a bad spot. We got tripped up, and we had to think for a minute. We had to regroup outside. We had to have a champions huddle. And then quite literally in the match, we said to each other, we said, all right. Honestly, we're in a bad spot. We're gonna charge in that ring like the madmen we are, and we're gonna hope it goes well. And it did. We innovated our way to victory in that match via ACO and Endgame.
And that was a great match, by the way. You know, hands down, great match. And so, continuing on your tag career, you know, you at Rise to Glory, you graduate from the X Division tag titles to the XPW Undisputed Tag Team Champions. What did that moment mean to you? It's just like you have elevated this title to the main roster, and you are its new champions, and that's double the hardware on your record. You know, what is that moment? You know, being the face of the tag division of the entire XPW mean to you, the both of you? And you can take your turns. So I could start with Adrian first.
Yeah. All right. Honestly, it was just a great moment altogether because throughout the season we started off we fought the tag champs, came up a little short, we're a little rusty off the off season, but then we came back. We started winning match after match, and we won our match in Japan against the Headhunters, where we had to go Super Saiyan Blue, but we were hyped up. We won our Beat the Clock challenge at one point, but then Bulletproof they laid down. They didn't want to fight ACO Elite, and that's how you knew there was fear in their heart. And later on, we ended up finally, like I said, we got that tag match against from the number one contenders match in Japan against Vega Force, and they ended it in a double countout. But after that, we weren't able to get our rematch because of lockdown. So we were finally able, after winning the Iceman Classic, that was our moment. No one was taking that from us. So when we won the X Division tag titles, it was like, okay, we are holding tag gold. Now, one day, main roster's coming back. We're going to win those titles. And we got it. We beat with the Wolfpack. We retained our X Division tag titles, and they were switched out with the undisputed ones. And that was probably the best moment in our tag careers, the moment we worked the hardest for. And for it to finally happen, it was destiny. It was a prophecy. All right. Now you can share your feelings on that. Yeah, undisputed prophecy. Now ECB, you can share your feelings on that.
All I gotta say, I'm pretty much just gonna repeat what he said, but here's what's gonna happen. Here's what happened. Adrian and me, we won at Japan. Super Saiyan Blue transformation destroyed the Headhunters. Two people that ran through the roster in one point. And then we go on and we defeat a bunch of people. Continuous wins. Racking up wins and wins and wins. And then the Beat the Clock challenge. We win 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That's how much we had to beat. That's what we did. We beat that. And then, as even said, they laid down. Allowed them to pin, because they're afraid of what we were able to do. Because this was going to happen. Exactly what you're saying today. If we would have won at that moment, this whole thing, beating every single person, tag division, exactly what would have happened. Just a little bit earlier. This prolonged the inevitable. And in the end, we still won. In the end, the good guys always win. We win. That's just what happened.
Now, with your tag title reign, y'all are entering in legendary status because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Y'all are in the 60s as far as the number of days you have held the tag titles. The next up is the French Toast Mafia, whose reign is 73 days. They are in the Hall of Fame, and you are approaching that number very soon once season 5 begins. And then after that, you'll have my group, the Golden Army, with 87 days. Okay, and then the top number that every tag team wants to break, that has been trying to break since season 2, the Wolfpack, with 94 days as tag team champions. Do you think you are going to break the Wolfpack record of 94 days as tag champs?
Hold on, Coleman's gonna say it, but we know we're gonna do it.
I don't know. It just seems like whenever anyone gets close, beat down
anyone.
Joe West, they do something, they will stop it. They will become the greatest tag team of all time, and they will end. They've ended people breaking their reigns 2 times already. They stopped the Wolfpack. They stopped the Headhunters at one point, and then they stopped the Golden Army days away from breaking their record. And something in my gut tells me that they're going to do the exact same thing in season 5. Are you worried about the Wolfpack?
Here's the thing. They, like you said, they stopped people before. They didn't want anyone touching their record. That is what they hold. That is their legacy in XPW. I've said in the past that legends lay out the red carpet for the future to walk on. We are that future. They got lucky twice, and you know what they say, third time's the charm. I mean, after our match, our latest match, the Wolfpack, they are obsessed with us. They can't get their eyes off of ACO Elite. And while I am flattered, I do remember, indeed, the words from Beatdown's mouth. It sounded a little bit like he gave up. Not that he gave up trying to dethrone us. He wants to be the ones to do that. But he said, at this point, I'd be completely fine. I'd be happy if you two were the ones to end our tag team championship reign. Beat the record.
You know, anything can happen in season 5. I think season 5 is going to be the best season of all time. We are getting new tag teams coming into the fold. We may have refocused tag teams. Who knows? French Toast Mafia may come back as well. Who knows? The Golden Army, maybe I can get back in the ring. I can find Hannibal because he's been missing. You know, we ain't going to touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we can make another run. Who knows? Maybe Bulletproof is angry and peed off, and they want to come back for the tag title. So
They always are.
just know, season 5, everyone is going to be gunning for you. It's going to be like John Wick 3. Everybody's looking for you. They coming for you. You got the price on your head, and they coming to collect. So, you know, and I got to give the people what they want. So expect to be defending those titles probably the first week of season 5. Who knows? But we'll see, because everyone's going to be gunning for you.
Yep. John Wick 3, I mean, I have an appreciation for suits. We're used to everybody coming for us. We just had to go through every other tag team to defend him at Final Stand. We almost didn't defend him at Final Stand because no one could touch us. So then a makeshift team showed up, Cruise Control. They lost. I beat Ghost twice, sent him out on a nice and happy Hall of Fame run. You know, he can do his thing. But, you know, let me tell you a story.
Oh,
right?
don't set Ghost off. But go ahead.
Yeah, he always goes on tangents. But no, there's the story. I once, you know, John Wick, he killed 3 men in a bar. But has he killed 3 men in a bar with a pencil that wasn't sharpened? I'm just saying.
No,
it's
just super saiyan.
ECB was there for that. He was shocked. He was like, "Oh my!" And then we got drinks. But that's besides the point.
I think murder is against XPW policy, but you know, we ain't gonna get into that. We ain't gonna get into that right now.
Their careers were dead anyway. Their careers were already dead. It's fine.
Okay, so we're gonna move on, and you know, like I said, you're beating everyone at Final Stand. You did it, and you swept the tag division. So hopefully, we're gonna see something different. But let's go back to you, Adrian, where we left off of your singles career. Your rivalry with Max, okay? The collision that was bound to happen. You and Max clashing at Last Resort. Tell me what was your mindset going into that match? It's just, and how did you pull that win off to win your first world title?
After Rise to Glory is when we got called up to the main roster. Is when technically we knew we were back in the fold for championship gold. We were in that moment. And I said, as soon as I even after winning the tag titles, I said, now, next on the list is that world title, that shiny new world title. Undisputed championship. So, the King of the Ring happened. ATX, new GM, great guy. He set the King of the Ring up. And the winner of the King of the Ring was going to go on to fight Max at Last Resort. And it was going to happen. It was destined to happen. Like you say, the collision course, the climax, that was the final stretch, the last road all the way up to the top. And I went through competitor after competitor. I beat Joe West, not Joe West. I beat, well, yeah, in the finals. But I beat Jake Titan in dominating fashion. I beat Goat in dominating fashion. I beat Greg after we defended our tag titles against him earlier in the night. And then the finals was Joe West, 2 out of 3 falls, and I beat him 2-0. It was definitive. That was it. That was the moment. And then Max saw the winner of the King of the Ring, King Coleman, was born. And he knew. Yeah. Like, in his mind, he knew from the start. He was getting ready. He was like, I'm going to be fighting Adrian Coleman. I know he's coming after, everything that he's done throughout everything, One for All. He was the final boss. He was in that match at Hold the Line. He was the deciding factor. And then finally we were going to square off 1-on-1. And then I beat Max. I made him tap out, similar to how he ruined my dreams from making someone tap out. I made him tap in the middle of the ring. I held that world title above my head. And I basically just said to the whole crowd, I said, I told you so. And as soon after that, I decided to give myself a vacation, as you know. ECB showed up at one point. It was crazy. But that was the moment in XPW, man.
Yeah, you won the king. Like you said, you won the King of the Ring. Beating everyone. You go in and beat Goat. You go in, you beat Max. Shocked the world. I didn't think you could do it. And it's not a knock on your talent. It's just Max was just unstoppable. He had only one loss this season that I can remember. And then he lost to ECB.
Ooh.
And then he lost to UA. So he has three losses that I can remember this season. Only 3. And that's impressive. Okay? And before he lost to you, I didn't think I thought you had a chance, but I thought you had a puncher's chance. But you shocked the world, and not only that you took the title, but you made him tap for it. And and it's very hard to make Max tap out. So congrats to you, sir. You did it. And congratulations to you. So we're gonna move on from there.
Yep.
And now you're the man. You're the one on top of the mountain. You're the world champion. This is where your persona, your gimmick is complete. You are, King Coleman, the God. All year you've been making people do the, bend your knees challenge, bow
to your
down.
God challenge. Oh, that was fun.
Bow to your God challenge early on, and it just grew and it elevated from there. And that's Final Stand. You're closing out the show. You're the one. You're the last music everyone's going to hear, making his way down to the ring. You're facing Brock Sokolov and a late addict ghost, a
Mhm.
Hall of Famer. What was your mindset, going into that match? Where you were like, I need to win this match to put an exclamation point on my career, or I'm already happy with what I've done so far. I'm happy no matter what happens in this match.
I mean, throughout the whole season, I have had arguably one of, if not arguably, the best opening season out of anybody. I did it, like you said, I've won a lot of things this season.
Hmm.
But, like you said, you had doubt in your mind when I went into my match with Max at Last Resort.
Hmm.
So, seeing that and seeing what some other people had to say, even with everybody, once finally coming to realization on who I was, I did need to win that match. It was originally me versus Brock versus Max. It was going to be the match of the century, but Max had to pull out, and Ghost took his place. And if surprises happened earlier in the season, not anymore. It was not going to happen again. I was not going to let that take control of I was not going to let that interfere with my moment.
Hmm.
So in that match with Brock and Ghost, I I did what I had to do. I had to win. Like you said, I needed to win. I was going to beat everybody. There was not a single seed of doubt in my mind. I could not let myself experience that. And when the ref counted three, and I was the victor, the last music everyone heard in the entrance, the last music everybody heard in the arena, and I held that title above my head. That is when the era of the Alpha Omega, the era of the God of XPW, the era of King Coleman truly was cemented and begun. And I'm going to be doing that going into season 5.
ECB, you're going in. Uh, you're the tag champ. You want to end your career strong because you started as world champion. You wanted to go out still with gold on the other side of your shoulder, and you win. You win your triple threat match. Are you satisfied with how your season ended,
I'm very
ECB?
satisfied with what happened this season. This season has been one of my best. I'd say it rivals season 3 late because I've
Hmm.
done what I said I'd do. Like even season 3 late, I said I'd win the world title, as everyone kept laughing and saying no, you'll never do it. I did exactly what I said I'd do then. I did exactly what we said we were gonna do here. It's just exactly
Okay.
whatever I say that I'll do, I'll do. It's a promise, a guarantee.
10-4. And the only thing I have to ask is what's next? What's next for Adrian Coleman? What's next for ECB? What's next for ACO Elite as a group? Season 5. What can we expect? What more can you accomplish for next season?
UCB, you wanna go first?
Yeah, sure, why not? Well, since I've become a Grand Slam champion, I'm the first ever Ultimate champion. I'm the current IC and Tag Team champion. I've held the X Division Tag Team titles and these current undisputed Tag Team titles. What could ECB possibly want after all he's done? Oh, that's right. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to do
Mm,
something that's gonna get me in that. That's my entire goal now. I want a Hall of Fame career. That's all I need in my life now. That's what I've done. I feel like not that I've earned it, but I feel like that is something that should happen
mm,
before for someone like, let's say, Prince. Let's put him there because I know he probably wants me to shout him out. But I want to be in the Hall of Fame before Prince. I want to be in the Hall of Fame before uh, Goat. Yeah, actually, I think it's my first interview. I said that Goat was going to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Even he's not even there. He's gone now. I want to do that. That's all I want to do now. Nothing else is really important.
okay. Adrian.
Me? Well, at the end of the season, me and ECB stood in the ring. We held all of our gold high. We we are the champions. We atop Mount Olympus in the heavens, atop the heavens. No matter how high you can go, there is no limit. There's no max, if you mind the pun. But going into season 5, I mean, rookie season. I am ending on top, the best. No one can touch me. that's what I'm gonna continue doing going into season 5. ACO Elite, we're gonna break the tag team record. Honestly, my goal as the world champion, because you can't really get much higher than that, I want to break Brock's record as
Oh
world
man.
champion. So, I mean, everything we said we were gonna do, we did. So maybe saying this, you'll be seeing it in the future, and you could call it a fact, you could call it a prophecy, but what it is overall is undisputed.
Okay. Nice. That's a great goal. You're crazy as hell. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
Alright.
I'm just saying.
Greatest fact.
I'm just saying, Brock's reign.
Yeah,
Let me
187.
look. Yeah, let me look that up. It's 187 days. Okay. I still don't remember how he did it, but he kind of did. But hey, anything can happen. I pray for you, sir. No pun intended. You know, I think you're doing a great job, and everyone's gonna be gunning for you, especially you, Adrian. You have the world title. You're close to breaking the tag record. People want to end that, especially the Wolfpack. I think we're gonna see the most dangerous Wolfpack in season 5. Because who knows? They can add a third member, and that can just make it just that much dangerous. Who knows? But I think Wolfpack have a mission. They're going to be on a mission next season, and there's going to be a lot more teams forming up for next season. Not to mention Ghost. You know how title hungry he is. He wants to be world champion again. He's going to be gunning for you for that title. Not to mention Max. Max is going to probably make his return in season 5. He's going to want his one-on-one rematch. You can't. Brock, he is pissed off. He is furious on how that match went in Final Stand. He wants his one-on-one shot. So everyone's going to be gunning for you. ECB, you know, you're going to have a lot of newcomers coming up, a lot of fresh talent. That's going to be surprising you. So who knows what's going to happen with that IC title.
I'm going to enjoy that.
It's going to be a great season 5. You know, fellas, enjoy the off season. Next, we're going to have the Slammy Awards. Good luck to you there. Hope you win some Slammies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for coming on to Enter the Tomb. I appreciate it, fellas.
Thank you for having us.
Man.
All of us.
Hey, now let's go get a little bit of the bubbly.
A little bit of the
All right.
bubble.
All right, thank you for watching, everyone. I am the Pharaoh, and this is Enter the Tomb.
Thank you.